Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Try-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Oh, Trevor, it's been a week. Holy moly.
Well, you sound good.
I sound good? That's fantastic. I am very happy for that. Because we've had enough problems. So many, I'm smoking my favorite cigar.
Heck yeah.
Make sure I
What
say
kind
the
of
name
cigar
right.
is it?
LFD Andalusian Bull, I believe. Yeah, Andalusian Bull. I'm an idiot. Andalusian Bull. Great cigars. Love them.
Is that what we're going to talk about this week?
Oh, I wish.
Cigars?
I wish.
Maybe we should do one on just cigars. For 3 hours.
I don't know if that's on brand, but it would be nice. Yes, I would love to talk about cigars at some point.
We could do it.
I'm somebody who actually knows, though. Not me, because I just smoke them. So
I know a guy.
You know a guy?
I don't know him, but I'd like to get to know him.
You know of a guy.
I know of a guy.
All right, well, let's just get this done. I've got a problem, Trevor.
No, you don't.
As I'm trying to introduce this show, because we're not a political show. I don't want this to be a political show. But I do want to talk about the Epstein files. I don't want to keep talking about the Epstein files. And today is a week where both those subjects inevitably intertwine. Intertwine. So have you heard about the spat between Trump and Elon? The obvious spat.
Tell me what spat they had.
Oh, I will. But first, do you remember a couple weeks ago when we were listening to the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and we were talking about how Cash and Dan Bongino were acting strange? And then, let me see if I can get this. I'm going to get the tab pulled up before, because I'm setting this up in a very lame way. But then Patrick Bet-David said this, and I went off. So let's just replay what he had to say. Am I still on? Yes, I am. Good, because I don't want to be muted through
You're
this.
Still here.
This is important. Great. Okay, here we go. So this was what Patrick Bet-David said during that initial interview with that gal from Fox News.
Which gal?
About kids that are on camera.
The interviewee, the person they chose to tell the story. So let's just listen to Patrick Bet-David's words here, because I had a little rant after he said this, because it upset me. So anyway.
Getting raped, and they have it, and it's I am 1,000% against that, if that's the case.
There is a reason why when you choose to become the leader of the free world, there's only 46 people that have been able to do it. It's not a job for everybody, okay? Mm-hmm. When you get that job, it's very easy for everybody to act emotionally about everything. You're not cut out to be a president. You're too emotional to be a president. Make sense? The job isn't for everybody.
Are you talking to Vinny on that one?
I would be horrible.
No.
I love America, but I'd have a heart attack in 2 weeks.
Vinny is a guy you go to war and you say, go kill everybody. That's the bad guy. That's Vinny. Vinny will get the job
Guys,
done, right?
Metaphorically speaking,
yeah,
of course.
Of course. But all I'm saying is to be a president, it's kind of like this. How do you do with blood?
Meaning what?
Could you be a heart surgeon?
Yeah, for sure.
Are you a blood
Doesn't
or a
bother
creep?
you.
Blood doesn't bother me.
You can cut skin, open up, do
100%.
stuff. Doesn't do anything
Doesn't
for
do
you.
anything for me.
Do you remember when you were in boot camp and you had to give IV to somebody else?
Yeah.
Okay. How many people passed that when they had to give IVs?
A lot of people were just...
That would have been me.
Big guys
That would have been
would
me.
pass out. Like,
Yeah.
you have to give IV to another guy.
Yeah.
There were linebackers that were passing out left and right. But what happened before they went in? Oh, it's going to do nothing for me, dog. I'm going to be the one to do dog. I'm going to be a tough guy. And I was like, oh,
That's a
shit.
no for
the
me,
gangster
dog.
just passed out.
Yeah.
What happened to the gangster? No. There is talking, and then there's you go in, and you see the blood, and the average person can't handle it. And then the surgeon just cuts. Boom. Boom. Can you give me this? Boom, boom, boom. And so what happened today? So can you give me that? Boom. Can you take this heart over here? Put it here. Boom. Okay, boom. Let me see this. Boom. Only 1% of people can do that job. Less than 1%. To be a president, it's not 1%. It's less than 0.0000000000000 1% can do the
How
job.
many zeros was that? Anyway.
And to be able to do that job, you have to be able to see blood, chaos, travesty, nasty, bunch of stuff, and you not being emotional to go out and react like an emotional human being. It's not the job for everybody. I understand what you're saying. It's a very noble way of viewing it. I am right there with you. We're together when something happens with the kids. We react in the same exact way.
Yep.
But you lose the ability to react that way when you're the president. You have to be more intentional. I understand. No, less than 1% of people are going to agree with what I'm saying right now. Trust me. They're going to be like, this is the part that I'm going to side with Vinny. I get it. Me too. Even though I'm debating, I'm siding. Yeah. But you have to understand, this is a very, very difficult job. And there's some phases of this job that you have to be what? Do you know what it is? Do you know what is one of the most important qualities to be able to be the president of the free world?
Not level head.
You have to be ice cold.
That's what I was just going to say.
You have to be ice cold.
Measured's the word.
You have to be ice cold. Ice cold. To see what they did. They did that? Is this what they're doing? Okay, no problem. We'll never forget this. But let me tell you what we got going on. When is that event coming up? In 7 months. In 7 months, we're going to do this and put it in front of their faces so everybody sees it, but hang on till the 7 months. Hang on till the 7 months. That speech that Trump showed today in front of South Africa, yesterday he showed. How long?
All right, so they're moving on to South Africa. So I don't know if you recall that little statement, Trevor, but this prompted me to lose my ever-loving gourd.
Why?
Because what he's talking about is this. First of all, when people talk about this whole being willing to do whatever it takes, that's just code for doing whatever's expedient. Oh, we got to be cold. We got to be ice cold. We got to be ice cold through our. We got to be ice cold. Have blood, ice blood in our veins, or whatever. That's just code for being Machiavellian. And what I said,
Machiavellian mean?
It means being ice cold. It's basically doing things from a pragmatic standpoint, being utilitarian, being somebody who's not taking into consideration morality. Because you see, Trevor, morality is emotion.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, why would we listen to morality? Morality is rooted in emotion. No, there's not a moral principle about children's blood crying out from the ground or anything. You just want to help the kids because you're emotional. And so we talked about this being, and I said it a few weeks ago that this is absolutely nonsense because the thing that he's not even thinking about, even if morality doesn't mean anything to you, which it should, and I'm not saying it doesn't for Patrick Bet-David, but I wanted to take issue with this comment specifically because the thing that he is neglecting is that people who think like that are usually not half as smart as they think they are. Yeah, there's only been 46 people who were president of the United States. Most of them sucked anyway. None of them were even any good at it. All the ones, except for like a handful. So it's not saying that much just because these guys rose to the top because... Just because you rise to the top doesn't mean you're a good person necessarily. And what I say, and my
means you were good at telling people, "Hey, vote for me."
Yeah, you're good at a particular thing, but that doesn't mean you're good at. You're good at getting elected. That doesn't mean you're good at running the country. But
exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, I also made the point that even if you are not all that interested in morality, from a pragmatic standpoint, the reason you don't do what is expedient is because morality serves as a bulwark. It forces you to stop and look at all the potential alternatives. And as an example, I cited the midterm elections. Patrick Bet-David was not bearing in mind how this stunt that Cash and Bongino did was going to affect the midterm elections. In other words, this isn't going anywhere because the whole Epstein thing isn't going anywhere because it hasn't went anywhere for 6 years. So why would it go anywhere now? Just because Trump's in charge? Just because it's our guy, so we're going to forget it? Anyway, my point in bringing up the midterms was there are these things called unintended consequences. The reason you don't act like a Machiavellian is because you are not smart enough to guess how all the pieces fall into place. And so it's better to default morality. That way, when chaos occurs, at least you don't have to lie. So, you do the right thing to avoid unintended consequences. The midterms would have been an unintended consequence. And here is another example. of an unintended consequence. Elon Musk, time to drop the really big bomb.
Can you zoom in on that a little bit?
Maybe. Hang on here. I can't.
Sorry to bug you.
Well, now I just got rid of it.
My bad.
It's all right. Can I don't know. No, I can't double click on it. Sorry, this is as good as it's going to get. Time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. So, that, Trevor, is called an unintended consequence. That is why you don't do whatever it takes, because doing whatever it takes, being the guy with ice water in your veins, is usually just polite, bold-sounding nomenclature for doing what's expedient. And when you do what's expedient, you don't think everything through. And I will say this, everybody's mad at Elon Musk right now, but the bitter truth of the matter is, if he hadn't done it, somebody else would have.
Yeah.
Because this was the question running through everybody's mind that nobody wanted to talk about. Why in the world would... Exactly. Why in the world would Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, and Dan Bongino do this complete 360? They've been pushing that they were going to release the Epstein files for forever, and now all of a sudden they don't want to. And they're practicing every deceptive tactic that we've seen every Democrat in the history of ever use, so they don't have to put out these files. Why would they do that? It's not 360, it's 180, by the way. Why would they do this 180? Why would they change their minds? Well, people have been wondering, although they'll never articulate it, is this why? Is Trump on there? Is he protecting himself? Elon Musk just said what everybody's been whispering to themselves but has been scared to say. And I'm not saying it's true. I don't know if Trump is. I have no clue one way or the other. But this is what people are asking, because this is exactly what people are going to be afraid of. Elon Musk is leaning into people's fears, regardless of whether Trump is actually on those things or not. This is why you don't do whatever it takes. Because crap like this always happens. It's called, some call it wrath, some call it karma, but the one thing you can't call it is surprising.
So here's a question for you. What if they're both on it?
Huh?
What if they're both on it?
I imagine there's a lot of people on it. I mean, Epstein's whole shtick was, blackmailing famous people. Now, it's one of two things. Either Trump, this is just my opinion, I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's any. There's a lot of scenarios. Number one, this could just be that he's referencing what's already been out. Because Trump took a plane or something. I don't think it was the Lolita, but he took a plane of Epstein once or twice. There's already been information out since 2018, 2019 or so that he was involved in the Epstein files. Now, if Elon Musk is basically calling that all up just to get everybody riled up, that's not good. That's pretty sleazy. It's a bad thing to do.
Well, I mean, there's proof everywhere that they hung out, isn't there?
There's like one photo and then like the flight logs that I mentioned earlier. But a lot of people were on those planes. Again, it's a blackmail racket. So these guys would just, invite rich people at random. And Donald Trump probably went to some of those parties.
Yeah.
Now, if there's any more additional information that hasn't been addressed, if I were to guess, it's one of two scenarios, assuming that there is any new information at all, which I'm kind of dubious about, very skeptical of. I think Musk was just playing into people's fears, because this is what would ruminate in the back of people's minds, which is why I'm going after Patrick Bet-David. I like him, but that specific statement really set me off, because crap like that has consequences.
Yeah.
Sitting here and making these cold Machiavellian calculations, it sounds like you're super smart, but really you're just doing the quickest thing, the easiest thing. Yeah. So.
Hey, Jeremiah.
It's been a little
Long
bit.
time no see. If I drop a poop on an American Airlines flight, can I call it a flight log?
You can call it whatever your heart desires.
Is that a dad joke? Because it was a good one.
That was a dad joke, wasn't it? Not a bad one either. Good to see you, Jeremiah. So, yeah, basically, this has been on everybody's mind the entire time. But nobody was wanting to actually say it out loud. This is why what Cash and Dan did, or Dan Bongino did, was such a big deal. And sooner or later, somebody from the Trump administration was going to say this. But Mr. Captain Ice in his veins, Mr. Do whatever it takes, which is just code for doing whatever is expedient, isn't going to think about that. Because people who typically operate that way think everybody else around them is an idiot. And they don't realize that these kinds of decisions have ripple effects. And then things blow up. This is not going to go anywhere for a very long time. This actually, I would even go as far as to say, since I use the midterms as an example, this could cost Trump the midterms. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I know people tend to think that everybody's got like the memory of a guppy, but
Right.
Epstein's been around for 6 years. It's been a long time, 2018 or so, and it hasn't disappeared from the consciousness yet. What makes you think it's going to disappear now? And it certainly ain't going to disappear after Elon Musk made this statement, even if he did delete his tweets and all the rest of it. So,
This is going to be fun, huh?
yeah, this by itself might have already cost him the midterm, although nobody's going to admit it. And
well.
I need to say something else because I guess I'm kind of going on a rant on this, but
Rant away.
well, I need to be very careful and kind of specific about my wording because this is going to be misunderstood as me complaining about Trump, but that's really not my point.
Oh.
This is me. What I'm trying to demonstrate is a general attitude that the culture has that I think is kind of in part leading to this situation. So the reason I bring up Patrick Bet David is because this whole ice water in your veins, do whatever it takes crap is how the CIA got to this place.
Right.
So there's a fella, I apologize, I'm blanking out on his name, but he was on Tucker Carlson a couple days ago, and he's been doing the podcast circuit recently. And he's talking about his time in the CIA. And he talked about how he would do this lecture with people, and he would ask the question, what if you had an informant who was a good informant, and he was providing you accurate information, but then one day he comes up to you and says, all right, well, I've done a good job, but I think I'm done unless you get me a prostitute. I want a prostitute. Would you or would you not get him a prostitute for the good of the company, or good of the country, Trevor?
Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
Okay. If you had an informant for the CIA, and this is I apologize for blanking out on the man's name. After I ask the question, you can think about it. I'll pull his name up. If you have an informant,
John Kiriakou?
I need to see who you're looking at, but I bet you're right.
I just went to Tucker's channel.
Is he a?
It was 3 days ago. CIA's secret torture programs, MK Ultra.
Yep, that video. So say his name again.
John Kiriakou.
Sweet. Yep, that's the guy. Okay, so he posed this question to people. If you have a good informant who has given you solid information, but he comes up to you one day and he's like, I'm done giving you info. I'm finished. I'm not going to do anything else unless you get me a prostitute. I want a prostitute. Get me a prostitute. Would you or would you not get that man a prostitute for the good of the country?
No, I'd say, well, bye.
Yeah. According to him, about 80% of people in the audience would raise their hand. Right? Then he adds this next caveat. He says, now what if it's a kid? And then about 10% would raise their hand. And then he would go,
What if
no.
what if who was a kid?
The guy wants a child prostitute. Yeah.
Well, heck no.
And think about that. Think about that. He said 10% of the people would still raise their hand. Timidly, but they'd still raise their hand.
Because they don't care.
No. Why? Because of what Patrick Bet-David said. You gotta have ice water in your veins, Trevor. You gotta do whatever it takes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And this is why you draw the hard line at the prostitute. This is why you do the right thing and you don't think about the consequences. Because what starts out with just getting a prostitute for the good of the country ends up getting a child prostitute for the good of the country.
And so on and so forth.
And so on and so forth. That's how we got here. That kind of thinking is how we got here. And that's my point.
Jeremiah said, I tend to believe that the files, not flies,
Yeah.
implicate key figures in both parties. Two wings of the same bird, and that's why the files aren't coming out. It would kill the whole bird.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right. My opinion is justice be done, may the heavens fall. But Patrick Bet-David's mind about it was they're basically using the information on those files as leverage to get kind of what they want in Congress or something. Can't be Congress, though. Not, I said that randomly, but can't be Congress because that big, beautiful bill is another one of Washington's darling compromises. But that's not relevant to the Epstein files necessarily, so we won't go there. But I wanted to... Well, it's more politics, basically, and...
Let's not go there.
Yeah, it's not related to the Epstein files. I wanted to talk about specifically how you get a whole country to the point, because basically what's going on, and Alex Jones kind of confirmed this week, which we already kind of knew it anyway, but his inside sources confirmed it, you might say. CIA was running a sex operation. Basically, your taxpayer dollars have been going to child trafficking. That's what's happening. It's a blackmail racket, and they're child trafficking, and you're paying for it. Congratulations. So...
No, you're paying for it.
Yeah, we're all paying for it, yeah. And so that destroys the trust in the FBI, as Dan Bongino says. They got to restore trust in the FBI.
Or any three-letter organization.
Or any three-letter word in an organization. Yeah, we got to restore trust in the institutions. Robert Barnes said this. I think it's just a brilliant way to summarize it. It's like Cash and Dan, and it's not that, I don't think that it's because Trump is on here, really. I think, like I said, Elon Musk knows that's what people are thinking, and so he said it out loud, which again, I will repeat it again for emphasis. This is why you don't do whatever it takes, because unintended consequences. And you're not smart enough to predict the ripple effect, so you may as well do the right thing so when the chaos comes, you don't have to worry about covering your butt. Anyway, so what was I saying?
And then they work really hard to stop the ripples.
Yeah. Well, it's like, good night. VeggieTales taught this. You tell one lie, then you got to, you got to cover for the next lie, then cover for the next lie, then cover for the next lie. I mean, it's a story as old as time.
No.
You know. All right, where was I? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so that's my point with the whole do whatever it takes thing. It's a bad mentality. And, oh yeah, Cash and Dan, I don't think are covering everything because Trump's on there. I think what's going on is that there is a philosophy. They're institutionalists, meaning that they want to, as Dan Bongino and Kash Patel have said over and over and over and over and over again, they want to restore trust in the FBI. They want to restore the institution. We need people who are willing to burn all that crap down if you're even going to try to save that crap. You got to be willing to kill it to save it. If you're a doctor, you got to be willing to cause pain. But anyway, my point is, the right thing to do is that's not on these people's radar. No. What's on their radar is you got to do whatever it takes to protect the institution.
Yeah.
You understand? To protect the institution, we have to make these little moral compromises. Because it's not like the plebs can do anything about it. until a billionaire turns around and makes an accusation he knows the plebs are scared of. Unintended consequences. That's why you don't do what's expedient. As for the Elon Musk Trump thing, I don't want to talk about it too much because, again, it's politics, but I did put it on the thumbnail because the kaiju meme was funny. I wanted to do a kaiju meme. I thought it was funny. Anyway.
Godzilla.
This is another thing that kind of ties back into, this is what I was going to say whenever I was saying it's going to sound like I'm complaining about Trump. I'm not. This is about an attitude that people have. So I'm not complaining about Trump. I'm complaining about everybody except Trump, actually. Jeremiah Cook says, restore trust in an agency that never had the plebs trust, LOL. More gaslighting from the alphabet boys. I agree.
I agree.
You know, but I think it's a boomer mentality. It's just this idea that, you know, somehow institutions thwart human nature.
Yeah.
And if you just get the proper training and the proper repetition, then people won't act like, you know, degenerates. But anyway, so what I was talking about with, gosh dang. Oh, if it sounded like I'm going to complain about Trump, but I'm not. I've been seeing this kind of trend that Trump is being a Chad. He is being a bigger man. He's this, he's that. Like, he's doing all this wonderful stuff. Because basically what he did is he first of all, he lied and said, because it was a lie. It's just a lie. He said, oh, well, Elon Musk is just mad because of the AV thing. Bull. Everybody knew Trump was going to get rid of the AV mandate since before the election. That is a load of bull crap. Elon Musk knew, everybody knew. That is not a surprise to anybody. He is not upset about that. He's full of it.
That was supposed to last, like, a couple months, right?
The AV mandate?
Something like that, yeah.
No, they were going to require everybody to buy electric vehicles.
Oh.
And obviously Musk, being in the electric car business, was going to benefit from that. So Trump's implication was that Musk was just mad that he lost a bunch of money over the electric vehicle mandate. So I guess it's not AV, it's EV. But anyway.
I don't know if he actually cares about all of that money.
Musk? No, because the dude's lost billions. Like, have you seen his Tesla stock? It's tanked. It was tanking before he went after Trump.
Tanking, yeah.
I don't think of losing a business deal is actually the guy's goal. And again, everybody's known that since November. Like, that's not a shock. Trump said he was going to do that from the beginning. Like, I doubt I doubt Musk was taken by surprise by that. So he lied about what the fight was. I don't know what the fight was. I'm not going to pretend that I know what the fight was. But, so he lies about that. And then he agrees to have this phone call with Elon Musk. And then today, he's like, well, I'm not going to call him. I'm not really thinking about Elon. Elon's not even on my mind. And I'm like...
Bullcrap.
Yeah, bullcrap. What that means is that he's stroking Elon Musk's photo while listening to Billy Joel. That's what that means.
Ew.
Yeah. But what was crazy is that people were like, oh, Trump's being the bigger man. He's being the bigger man. He's a Chad. Trump is a Chad.
How is being Chad being the bigger man?
Yeah, I'm like, really? Avoiding somebody's phone call and saying you're not even thinking of them? When I was growing up, that was called being a high school girl. What the heck is masculine about that? Now, is he upset? Sure. Does he have the right to be upset? Sure. But don't sit there and say he's being a Chad and the bigger man and this is some sort of alpha man play. This is called being a petulant human because all humans are stupid. We don't need to celebrate it.
Gaslighting.
Yeah, gaslighting. I mean, I think some of the Trump's fans are just sycophants.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're just, Trump's done a lot of good things. He's not a bad president, and he's certainly trying to fix all this crap. But he's still a human. And I'm sorry, saying you're going to answer somebody's call and have a peace call with somebody, then ignoring the call and saying, well, I'll probably talk to him eventually. I don't even think about Elon. I wish his company well. That's not being the bigger man. That's called being a high school girl. Okay, that's called I'm mad at you, I don't want to talk to you, and I'm going to pout to teach you a lesson. I'm going to give you the silent treatment to teach you a lesson. Now, Did Elon Musk screw up? Yeah, it was probably, especially if he lied. I don't know if this is true or not, but if he lied, this was a horrible thing to say. And it's bad because he was right to complain about the big, beautiful bill, which is another lie. It's just a big, beautiful spending bill, but, whatever. So, if he went too far, if this isn't true and Musk is lying, yeah, that's horrible. He shouldn't have done that. And maybe he's on ketamine. I don't know.
But it's the truth.
I kind of suspect they're saying he's on ketamine, though, as like a PR tactic. Oh,
What is ketamine?
It's a drug. It's like, no, he's autistic. But they're going to sit there and take his twitches and weird behavior and say, oh, he's not right in the head. Because that is gaslighting, by the way. It's like, oh, he's not right in the head. He must be on the drugs. He's got to be on the dope. The ketamine must have wore off. That's a PR thing.
Well, who's not on the drugs?
True or
these
false,
days?
it's a PR thing. Yeah, everybody's on a drug of some sort. Everybody's on a drug. Anyway, so it's people being people. Trump is a human. He has a right to be mad, especially if it isn't true. But can we not call him a Chad? Like, do we have to absolutely celebrate this crap? It's just nonsense.
Cody, hi.
Hi, Cody.
Welcome in. You're right, Gary. It's boomer mentality. They all had nice jobs with pensions. The big agencies in their minds are actually there to protect them, and they've actually gone through their working years being protected by their jobs or unions.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And then Jeremiah said Trump should have just released one White House statement on Elon and gotten right back to work. It's like Jim Halpert refusing to stop being a jackass even after becoming manager.
I agree. I think he should have just said one thing and been done with it.
Yep.
They could deal with it in private. This doesn't need to be in public anyway. So there's no purpose for it. This is just PR and pressure. And it's my wife was calling it White House High the other day. It's like on another very special episode of White House High. Big beautiful bill becomes between Trump and Elon Musk. What's going to happen? Will their relationship survive? Find out on another episode of White House High. For those of you who don't get the reference, that's a Clone High reference, which is a hilarious show out of Canada years ago. But anyway, so
We should make that show.
White House High, yeah.
We should do it.
But that's what it is. It shouldn't be celebrated. So, with all that said, we're going to move on.
I'm going to
Celebrate. I don't know what you mean. But with all that said, we're going to end this episode. But we're not technically done because there was another little development that happened immediately after Trump gave old Elon Musk the silent treatment. The so masculine and Chad silent treatment.
What happened?
Well, let's wrap this episode up, and then we'll go on to episode 2, and
I'm
we'll
excited.
talk about it then. So, guys, if
Thank
you're
you.
still on the live stream, stay with us. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.